Well, South Africa has issued a travel ban for people travelling to and from the worst-hit Ebola countries. For more on this and the reaction as far as the industry is concerned, the commercial elements of this, I'm joined by Otto Vries from the Association of Southern African Travel Agents. Mr. Vries, always a pleasure having you on. You and I spoke about this before the Ebola issue became a big problem. It is now a big problem in West Africa. We've just seen this reaction by our government stopping flights to some of those countries. Good move, bad move?
It's difficult to make a clear statement and an opinion on this because I think that every government will make a decision that it believes is the appropriate one related to the potential risk. If we look at the latest statements that have come out from the World Health Organization and also the comments that have come out from IATA, the indications are that we should retain air routes and that the risk related to the transmittal of Ebola virus is very limited, and therefore we should actually keep the air channels open. So the challenge is that we're getting very mixed messages. We're seeing certain governments and certain airlines that are continuing to operate on routes into West Africa, and in other cases we're seeing obviously a withdrawal or a switching off of those routes.
Is that purely based on what the government says, or can the various airlines make their own decisions based on how they see the danger?
I think it's a combination of. In a case like this where the government has obviously made a clear decision, the airlines would need to operate within the decisions as have those have been made by government. Where there isn't a clearly defined decision determined by the government, it'll be a decision that the airlines will make.
And here's the real issue as well, and of course many lives have been lost, over 1,200, and this is not to detract from that, but many of these countries that have been affected, Kenya is one of them, for example. It's the gateway to Africa. I know it's a cliche, but it's true. Are we seeing tourism being affected? Are people scared to not just go to those countries, but Africa? Sometimes Africa is termed as this one big country, isn't it?
It's an unfortunate reality and a side effect of a situation like this. It's getting massive publicity globally. It is a very upsetting and a very sad situation. But I guess, you know, all that we can do is our very best to inform people and to give them the opportunity to then make an educated decision as to how they wish to proceed, whether they're going to continue with their travel plans or whether they choose to rather put those on hold.
And so far, since the outbreak of this a couple of months ago, at least when it picked up all this publicity around it, are we seeing a lot of people cancelling out of fear of this? Unfortunately,
yes. My colleagues on the inbound side have indicated that they've seen a number of cancellations from various countries who had planned to do trips and tours into South Africa. And on the outbound side, for our members, the IATA members, they're starting to indicate that a lot of their corporate customers who conduct business in West Africa are reviewing their travel policies and making decisions where necessary to possibly postpone that travel, unless it's absolutely critical.
As far as the situation is being handled, though, by the various governments, from someone who looks at this from a tourism perspective, of course the commercial perspective, there's lots of money involved and there's lots of money being lost. Is this being handled well with the various governments, ours in particular?
I think it's a very difficult question to answer because in all fairness, if you're in the position of government, you're going to make the right decisions that you believe are important in terms of protecting your citizens and the country at large. And it's risk management, and I guess from a corporate point of view, the view might be very different. We can only be guided by the information that's provided, and the information provided from the World Health Organization has been that it is a very difficult disease to transmit. You have to have contact with bodily fluids. So how do you determine whether or not there is a genuine risk of this disease spreading?
And I imagine trying to be the person who has to make that decision as well. Otto, thank you very much indeed for coming in. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Otto Vries from the Association of Southern African Travel Agents, taking us up to our headline stories and indeed this breaking news.